Nice. Mike, you want to go first this week?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Take it away.
I gotta get prepared. I was taking a note. Okay, so I did a lot of reading here. I've got Something is Killing the Children. This is volume 2 and 3 in the trade paperbacks, which covers issues 6 through 15. James Tinian IV is the writer, and Werther Del Adera is the artist. And I'm loving this. I'm reading. You got to read the trades. If you have these individually, you can't read them because there were too much. I did a little searching real quickly. These are 9.8s. Number 1 sells for $800. Number 2 is 130 to 180, and number 3 is 150 to 180. So yeah, you got to read the trades on this. Here we get the introduction of Aaron Slaughter, the Old Dragon, the Order of St. George, which is part of the House of Slaughter. So we're getting characters within these issues that end up showing up in the House of Slaughter series that's coming out, which I think is a good idea that Tinian did it this way. So we kind of get the backstory on where Erica came from and why she's doing what she's doing without taking up pages within this title. So we're getting the backstory in House of Slaughter. I imagine. I haven't read them, but I know that's where those characters are. So I think he's kind of filling in that story over there where he can just continue the fast pace of the Something is Killing the Children storyline. And, we talked about Stranger Things a little bit ago. This isn't exactly like Stranger Things, but it there are monsters. Kids are involved, obviously, in the title. And with these monsters, the only ones that can see them are children. Adults can't see them. And obviously the Jessica Slaughter can, and the Order of St. George, the people within the House of Slaughter, there's some reason that they can see them as well. I'm sure they covered that later on in this series or in the House of Slaughter books. So we'll find out there. And this is definitely a get it for me. It's very fast paced. If you like horror books, this is definitely a get it. My one complaint, and this goes to Werther's artwork, not necessarily his artwork, it's how he lays the pages out. A lot of times you'll get, page and then another page, you just read it one page at a time. Other times it's 2 pages together, but you don't realize that until the second row. Normally what they'll do is they'll take one of the panels in the center and they'll kind of lay it over into the second page. Well, he doesn't do that until the second row of panels. So you read that the top 2 panels and then you go down in the middle. That's where it makes the connection. So I'm finding myself every time I turn the page looking down halfway to see if it lays over into the second page, so I know my proper reading order. That's a little bit frustrating, but other than that,
Even that happens every time. It happens fairly regularly, I think.
Yeah, he does it a lot in this, and that's my only complaint on it. Everything else is great. I like it. Fast paced, great artwork, good stuff. So this
Sorry.
That's right.
I was just gonna say I actually got a couple of these from Whatnot that I felt like I got for a good deal that I'm gonna sell on the next show. I'm not trying to keep Whatnot in the conversation, but I wanted to tell you which ones they are so you can tell me what you think. Let me see real quick. Number 16. I got the regular cover and the cover with no trade dress. Both of those for like $15. So what do you think? Did I get ripped off or what? Look it up.
But,
I'm just kidding.
No, I mean 16 is the I'm looking this up, is the origin of Erica Slaughter, the first appearance of Jessica Slaughter. So you've got a first appearance and origin on there.
Okay.
and the big money books are the early ones.
Right.
Obviously, that's the way a lot of stuff goes, especially with the indie books.
Yeah.
But with the introduction later on, and then with the House of Slaughter going on, it's going to give more backstory to those characters. I don't think that's a bad price.
So might want to hold them for a little bit. Sounds like too. Then, huh? Maybe.
I would pretty much hold anything with this title for now.
Yeah.
I think it's been optioned, but like everybody says, everything's been optioned. This could make a really good. Like I said, it's comparable to Stranger Things a little bit. This could make a great Netflix show. Really good.
Is it a little bit more geared towards adults, though? Is that why you keep saying sort of Stranger Things, basically?
Yeah. Well, the language in the book, which they can always tame that down, but it's pretty violent. The monsters are brutal, and what the monsters are doing are brutal. I mean, it's in the title, so that would definitely make it more mature. Just the theme.
Yeah, they actually had a disclaimer at the beginning of Stranger Things. Remember?
Right.
Yeah, because of the Texas stuff.
Texas, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't. The parallels aren't perfect with the reason for the disclaimer. I understand the reason for the disclaimer. After.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about that too. I forgot. That's the best way to do it. Instead of changing it or pulling it,
Just
put the disclaimer up there. Allow people to make the choice for themselves. They can say, you know what, I'm not ready for this. Don't watch it.
Agreed.
So, it was well done.
All right, Pat, you want to go next?
Sure.
Did you read She-Hulk 2 yet?
3.
Oh, you read 3 also, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I read the one where you're back out, and I can certainly see where you were coming from.
And then that cover for what, 4 or 6 or whatever.
Looks like we know what's going to be happening in that issue.
Yeah.
I'll read it. I'm going to read it. I don't care. Go ahead. Sorry.
Let me find it here. Okay, so I read a couple Mike Mignola books from Dark Horse. I read Radio Spaceman Mission to Numa 4, number 1 and number 2. This is written by Mike Mignola, and the artist is Greg Hinkle, who I don't believe I'm familiar with until this book. That's his art on the cover for number 2 there. I'll switch back to number 1 with the cool Mignola cover because that's my preference. But basically what you see the character, that is Radio Spaceman on the cover.
Okay.
Sorry?
I just said okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
He popped up in Mike's charity drawings that he was doing during the pandemic. Just the new character he created, and he decided, there's a story here that he needed to tell. So he decided to whip up this 2-issue series, and I'll say right off the bat, 2 issues probably isn't enough. You want to see more about this character. He's pretty unique. Well, unique. You can sort of see Hellboy similarities.
Yeah.
But he's a neat character himself, and basically that like I said, that's Robot Spaceman on the cover. He's being controlled somehow remotely by this older fellow. They wake it drops you right in. They wake, some sort of organization wakes this older gentleman up in the middle of the night and says, "Hey, we got troubles. Radio Spaceman is needed." So he basically goes into this mission control room. It's like a steampunky setting, and he plugs into all this equipment, and he's able to control this. We don't know what he's sort of like a skeleton in a spacesuit. And he can speak remotely through him. He activates the spaceman remotely. We don't know how. Basically, something is happening in space. We don't know how far away it is. Doesn't matter, I guess. But he can remotely control this. And basically, his mission, there was a spacecraft, I'm assuming it has ties to the organization Radio Spaceman works with, that it crashed on a planet. Apparently, one of the crew members has gone rogue, and they send Radio Spaceman in to investigate. And he arrives on the planet and finds out that the rogue crew member is trying to resurrect an ancient god, like a big, huge kaiju sort of Lovecraftian creature on the planet. And he sets to taking him out. Meanwhile, bleeding into number 2, you learn that the spacecraft was transporting a mysterious cargo. And in the midst of the crashing of the spacecraft and all the shenanigans with the awakening of this elder god, it turns out that it was like a space vampire that was in this coffin. It escapes and starts causing havoc. Radio Spaceman has to deal with him too. He gains. There's a lot going on here, a lot you're thrown into, but it's all cool. And then of course one of the other crew members, a female, turns out that she is also a vampire, but she's a good vampire. And she's on Radio Spaceman's side, and together they try to take down the rogue vampire from the coffin, and also deal with the giant kaiju creatures that inhabit this planet. But I thought it was great. I hope they do more. I don't know if Mignola has plans to do more.
He probably will. If this does as well as it sounds like it should, he probably will. Yeah.
But I never know how well his books sell. You know, he sort of has a niche audience, and it from the reactions on the Hellboy boards, it went over well. He was already sort of a popular character previous to the series, just because of the look, and how he appeared in the sketches. People were intrigued by him. One thing I kind of liked, just to wrap it up real quickly, was that he basically has this. Again, the person controlling Radio Spaceman is an elderly gentleman, so his crew is sort of, I think, aging out with him also, and he's complaining. Radio Spaceman has like a ray gun, and he takes a couple shots at a creature or whatever, and apparently his support staff, Radio Spaceman's support staff, forgot to load extra cartridges for his gun, and it's sort of like a banter back and forth. He kind of reminds me of like Jerry on Parks and Rec. Nobody likes him, but he's doing his job the best that he can. He's actually probably doing his job better than most people would do it, but Radio Spaceman likes to pick on him. But yeah, so it's a definite must-have as a Mignola fan, and to get it for the people probably coming from the outside. It's a fun story, 2 issues and done. And you're out. Maybe they'll do more, maybe they won't. But I really enjoyed it.
Can I see that issue 2 again?
Sure.
I wanted to see it how someone else drew the other guy. Yeah, I like his artwork there. I've never heard of him either. That looks great.
Yeah, he was good. It's another one of those situations, like we have talked in the past, like Step by Bloody Step, where this artist has free reign. He's like on an alien planet, can draw all kinds of crazy stuff, and it all looks great. And the storytelling, as far as the artwork goes, is really good too. So yeah, check it out.
Sounds like fun.
It was.
I got to grab that this week as well on my list, because I think I've decided I'm just going to stop subscribing, and I'm just going to get every week whatever we have in the Pick 3 or the Get It or Forget It reviews. But seriously, I want to check that out too, because I was never really a Mignola fan at all until we've kind of had you in our life, and you've definitely made activated more of appreciation from me personally, at least.
Yeah, and let's say you're sort of, I think Mike's maybe mentioned this in the past, you don't know where to start. This is a good, you jump right in and you go from there and see if
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm looking through the previous Dark Horse section, his section, I usually just skip right over it, because a lot of it is in that Hellboy universe, and it's like, oh, man, I've got some, but it's like I'm not going to get more and be 3/4 of the way through where I need to be. So It's refreshing to see this is, 2 issues, jump right in right now at the beginning, and you're good to go.
Yeah. I have this to point out before I go to my review. I'm bitter right now.
Ruh-roh.
There was only 21 books in that lot.
Uh-oh.
So first of all, this guy's going to get a bad review from me.
Maybe they're sandwiched in behind something.
Yeah, check everything, because remember, you were getting ready. That Fantastic Four book was kind of sneaking in there.
There's probably a Hulk 181 in there somewhere.
Probably.
Or a bunch of Valiants.
Yeah, they're all pretty tight. So I can't, I don't think I'm missing a one in between. They're all pretty tight. So I'm 99% sure you're right though. I'm gonna take them all out and get them bagged separately before I give somebody a bad review. I don't really like doing that anyway. And I'll talk to him first if he wants to make it. If he wants to make it right before I give a bad review anyway, I go that way anyway as well. Yeah. But I will say this. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add 4 books to that lot from the Xcellar collection with at least a value of $10.
Nice.
And I'll probably talk about it. I can talk about it when I do the podcast, and then we can post it on our various social media as to what those 4 books will be too. So then that'll automatically make the lot worth 97, because you said 87.
Yeah.
So 4 books of at least $10. And say hypothetically I go through here to see if there's books I missed, and I did. If they don't, the value of this is going to be at least worth $97 when it's all said and done. And I'll share all the other various ways what those other 4 books are, or what the other 4 books are. But I know he said it was 25 books, so I was thinking it ended kind of quickly too. I wanted more, and it was just over. Is that how you guys were feeling too?
Yeah, I was like, boy, this was easy today,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right,
so this was easy.
So on to what I read, and I'm starting to be like you guys. So I read the all new, all different Savage Avengers #1.
I almost read that. I read the first page thinking I'm going to do Savage Avengers this week.
Yeah.
I'm glad I
And
put it down.
#2. Following you guys. I want to be like you guys. So anyway, this is really good. I really enjoyed it. This is by, I'm going to butcher these names, David Papose. Is the artist, and Carlos Magno is the writer. And basically, you can see who all the new Savage Avengers are there on the cover. Got Conan, Daredevil, Elektra's Daredevil, Weapon H, Black Knight, Anti-Venom, and then actually they got that's Deathlock, right? Yeah, Deathlock, right? Yep. He's, as far as I know so far from what you can read in 1 and 2, Deathlock's actually the bad guy, primarily. He's not Savage Avenger. Basically what happens is Deathlock, and this is one of those things where if you're not familiar with everything that's going on in the Marvel Universe, you might be a little lost at first. But it's just kind of, you pass over it because you feel like maybe it isn't that important. But basically, Conan is in modern times. He's out of his timeline in the modern times, our life now, and Deathlock is a time traveling cyborg that punishes people for messing up the time stream. So he comes into modern times to. Oh, and Cloak and Dagger in the back there too. I forgot to mention them. They're part of this as well. But he's been sent to punish Conan for messing up the current time stream by basically existing here. And it's just kind of a coincidence that all these other cast of characters are kind of in the vicinity, and they just start helping Conan basically. And then, of course, there's a time rip they start to actually beat Deathlock, and in his efforts to escape, I guess, he opens a time portal that they all go through, and then they all actually go back to Conan's time. What's that, Crimean times, right? I think. And
Crimean.
So now all of them are stuck in Conan's time, with not only Deathlock trying to kill Conan, but also all the other problems that timeline has to offer, just by all of them, being out of place and looking weird and all this. They all basically are public enemy number one. And then on top of that, everybody in Conan's time thought he was dead, and they were all after him to begin with for miscellaneous reasons. And so there's a bounty on his head already. So now they've got all just the common problems you'd have in that timeline: Deathlock chasing them, and helping Conan with defending himself from all these bounty hunters, basically. And then this was kind of interesting. They had the dinosaur that they had was their biggest unbeaten gladiator that they had Black Knight and Daredevil fighting, which was pretty interesting. Oh, and Cloak and Dagger, or Cloak is there. Dagger's actually fighting in a different area. But that's what kind of happens. So in the first issue, we're just fighting in modern times. And then at the end of the issue is when they get sucked into the past. And now they're in the past, and they're not only in the past, but they're separated as well. And these three are together wherever it is, particularly in the past. And it's in an arena, though, and they have to fight this dinosaur, which, spoiler alert, but it was pretty cool because they didn't even tell you actually what happened. They just had Cloak. Daredevil was mocking Cloak as a rookie, like he didn't know, he was he didn't know what he was doing. He's kind of a punk or whatever. And then he does this trick, and then they move away into the next scene like that just ended that scene with Cloak doing this trick. You didn't know exactly what he did. And then later in the book, when they're trying to escape from Deathlock again, Cloak opens up, and he actually had the dinosaur enveloped in his cloak. So he just kind of releases it at Deathlock. It was a pretty cool scene, so I enjoyed this, and I'm gonna give it a get it as well. I almost give this a must-have. If you're anything like me, I really enjoyed the way this was written, and I love a random cast of characters, and I'm a big fan of most of these characters anyway. So it was a good fit for me in particular. So I'll give it a really high get it, just maybe short of a must-have, because it is pretty kind of a simple story too. It's not very deep. So, I think must-haves kind of have to challenge you intellectually too. I don't know, maybe, but so I just give this a real extremely positive get it. So
nice. I saw it with this, I forgot that Cloak and Dagger show up in here. So I don't have it I can put up there, but I'll show that this is a variant for that issue number 2 that you might want to look for. It's the Jenny Frison variant. It's just really, really awesome.
Yeah, that is really nice. Okay.
Go look for that.
All right.
Look for that and put it on Whatnot.
Or keep it myself. I think this is one that Tyler, he picked up this as well, or picked this up as well. And do you guys, here's another thing too. Are you guys very familiar with Weapon H?
No.
I mean, I remember what came about, but I never read it. Okay,
so this could be a key. I guess it definitely is a key. I don't know whether it's going to matter later or not, but so Weapon H is obviously, this hybrid of Incredible Hulk and Wolverine, right? You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
So when they're trying to escape from Deathlock, and when I say they, I'm talking about Black Knight and Weapon H are together, and for this scene, Black Knight's decides he's just going to jump out a window, and Weapon H is like, "What are you doing? We can't fly." And Weapon H is actually stuck out of his Hulk form. He's just kind of fighting like Wolverine for a minute, and he's like, "What are you doing? We can't fly." And then he jumped, but they're being chased or they're gonna die, of course. So he jumps out the window too. When he jumps out the window, he actually realizes he can transform. He's like a big man bat, so he transforms into Hulk. So he's this hybrid of Hulk, Wolverine, and like a big, man bat. He sprouts wings in his hands, like this kind of wings, not like behind him, but his arms become wings, and he's got bird feet, and he grabs Black Knight by the shoulders, and they escape by Weapon H flying them away. So they didn't give a name to this form or not, but it was a surprise to Weapon H too. He's like, "What did I just do?" And Black Knight's like, "Did you know you could? I didn't know you could do that." And like Weapon H is like, I didn't know I could either." So, if this ever goes anywhere, it'll be the first appearance of Weapon H as a bird. Yeah.
I didn't realize that he could change from a man to the Hulk. I thought he was just always that big Hulk.
I actually thought that too, but that's one of the first things you actually see in the first issue. Actually, sorry.
I tried to read the first Savage Avengers series. I said, man, it was just difficult for me. I don't know if it was just my state of mind at the time where it was hard to pay attention to it, or just the time between reading issues. Man, I was so lost.
Well, definitely check this one out because it was a simple read.
Yeah.
So if Weapon H in his Hulk form has those huge Wolverine claws, you see where I'm going here?
Yeah. In his man form, he's like, whoa.
Well, I can tell you this: the way they drew it in his man form, they were small. They were normal sized. Yeah, right. Yeah. But
or if he's a man, he has them out, and then he hulks up. They're little tiny little things. What do you do with those? Actually, you remember when we were the nano metal figs? I actually made a Weapon H.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep. You still have it?
Yes. I'll have to dig it out. I'll try to dig it out for next week's show.
Yeah, because it really looks cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a Wolverine and a Weapon H custom, and I was in the process of making a Mr. Miracle, but I
got away.
Yeah, just lost interest. It was partly lost interest, and also this is a lot harder than I thought, because that Mr. Miracle.
That's a rough paint job there.
Yeah. Speaking of paint jobs, Tyler, I got your thing I still have to paint, and Kevin, I still have your Boba Fett that I will paint.
All right, cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. So that was pretty good. Forget it or forget it, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I jumped onto the Red 2 Books wagon there. So, yeah.